video game debate show. My name is Mike, and today we will be discussing competition, Cyberpunk, and Ted Lasso. But first, let me introduce the panel. We got none other than the Mafia Lord himself, Stubby Stan, a.k.a. Cicero Holmes. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Say hi to your mother for me. Thank you very much.
All right. You heard it here. Say hi to your mother. And we have the duck, Rubber Duck himself, Justin. How you doing today?
Quack, quack, quack. Ready to debate and get this news going. Excited, especially for that leaderboard later on. Stick around. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun little leaderboard. We'll shout out a friend of the show, Brian, for hooking us up with a bunch of new and fun topics. So stay tuned for the leaderboard. So if you are listening to my voice right now, please leave us a review. We would greatly appreciate it. Go over to Apple iTunes if you're listening on an Apple device and leave a 5-star review. Leave some comments down there as well. Let us know how we are doing. If you're on Spotify on the mobile app only, you could leave us a star review as well. We would appreciate it over there too. And go ahead and follow us on both of those pod catchers of choice or whatever podcatcher you use. Following also helps us in the algorithm. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and let us know down in the comments what your favorite news story, debate, topic of today's episode was. And we'll try to respond to you. Actually, we won't try. We will do. Do or do not. There is no try. All right. A little bit of housekeeping. Rings of Power episode 4 review is out. And so go ahead and take a look at that. We are also starting our spooky season a little bit early, and there is a Halloween review from 1978, my favorite horror film of all time and my favorite series of all time. So glad to be doing that. We're going to be reviewing Halloween 2018 Kills as well as Ends when it comes out in a couple weeks' time. And one of Justin's favorite movies of all time, we're going to be reviewing Hocus Pocus, and that should be coming out later this week. So stay tuned for all of that. Well, gentlemen, question of the week. Getting to know us series still continuing. Favorite franchise of all time in any media. So this is just your favorite franchise spanning all of your hobbies, spanning all of your medias. What is your favorite franchise? Justin, I'm going to go your way first.
This took a long time to debate for myself, just personally, because there's so many good franchises out there. And I went from movies to games, back to movies to TV to books, and it was a tough ride. Fun roller coaster to go on. I did land on one finally at the end, and that's going to be Mr. Shaken Not Stirred. James Bond 007. The Bond series is definitely my favorite franchise. TVs and games, everything seemed great. It holds a good place in my life, both game and movie.
007.
Yeah.
We meet again. Yeah, I love James. So I gotta ask, who's your favorite Bond?
Oh, Connery, hands down. Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
Yeah. Pierce Bronson is close, but Sean Connery is by far my favorite. I grew up watching the older ones and then moved into Pierce and enjoyed those.
So then, do you think the best Bond film is from his era?
What
do you think the best Bond film is?
Jeez, like that's personal preference, really. I was a big fan of Tomorrow Never Dies. I was a fan of Goldeneye, of course. But like even going way back to Sean Connery days, like some inappropriate titles, but Dr. No, the original, it doesn't hold up as well, but it still packs a punch and storyline. So let's go with it. Dr. No, the original, the start.
Right. Cicero, first I gotta ask, who's your favorite Bond? I'll let you answer that question.
All right. Favorite Bond is Connery.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it's a clean sweep here.
Yeah,
Although
yeah,
I do
favorite
think
Bond
the
is
most recent Daniel Craig,
Daniel Craig's great.
I loved him.
Daniel Craig
He's
is
okay.
great. Yeah.
Casino Royale is awesome.
Yeah,
I think Casino Royale is probably one of the best Bond films.
Yeah,
of all time.
I think actually the worst Bond was Timothy Dalton. I think they were all good. The worst Bond was Timothy Dalton. And then Connery was the best. Brosnan was great. And Roger Moore was different, but he was the best at what he did.
Yeah.
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 Well, Roger Moore wasn't short-lived. Timothy Dalton was
Timothy
short-lived.
Dalton.
Roger
Dalton
Moore
was very
had
short.
In my mind, both of them were the shortest lived.
Oh no, Roger Moore was around for. Roger Moore was like the Bond
I think
for
Roger
the 80s.
Moore did just as many films as Connery.
I think he has more than Connery.
You think he has more? All right.
We'll
fact check that.
I'm not factoiding this over the facts of 007. I'm saying in my life he was the short-lived of watched.
Sure. Right.
Oh,
Okay.
of watched. Okay, I got you. Even though if you've seen all of them, he was the long-lived of watched. All right, Cicero, favorite franchise of all time in any year?
Go to me last.
Go to you last?
Yes.
Okay.
Flip that coin.
All right, fine.
Yeah.
So it was actually the reason why I came up with this question for us this week is because I was pondering this question when it comes to the Halloween franchise, because we're doing a review of all the movies, and Halloween is probably the franchise that I am most invested in, as far as knowledge, as far as just like I'm going to watch the next movie, I'm going to rewatch these movies. So I was really pondering if it is my favorite franchise of all time, and I think it is. I think it is because I can't really think of like a book series that I was just, chomping at the bit to read more, or even a video game series to like go into the second one, go into the third one, and really, really dig deep into it. So I think I have to go with Halloween. I think that's my favorite franchise in all of media. So yeah, and I'm sticking to it. And Connery is the best Bond.
Yeah, Connery and
Cicero.
Roger Moore tied for first with 7 appearances as James Bond.
Okay.
Sean Connery was in a non-James Bond movie playing 007, or he was in a movie playing James Bond but not 007, that came out in the 80s. I think it was Never Say Never Again, was officially not a Bond movie, so maybe he's at 8 or maybe that's 7. I'm not sure. Daniel Craig is third with 5, Pierce Brosnan 4, Dalton 2, Lazenby, which was the very first one, and David Niven both have 1. George Lazenby and David Niven. My favorite franchise of all time, I think you helped me, Mike, by with your response, because this was such a tough question to answer, but because the scope was so large, but you when you broaden the scope, you actually narrowed the scope for me and made it incredibly easy for me to say that my favorite franchise of all time is the Spider-Man franchise. There is nothing related to Spider-Man that I would not be eager to consume. And that is, and will find some level of enjoyment out of them, above and beyond, and will probably revisit them, more so than I would do with Star Wars is another franchise that I was thinking about, that, I will consume right away, in just about any permutation. But there are things in Star Wars that I won't revisit. And I will even revisit Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2. So, like those are things that I will even sit back and watch and find redeemable characteristics out of. So, and shout out to a television show called Home Economics, starring Topher Grace, and they just came back for their new season, and they go to Disney World, and there's a Spider-Man, someone dressed up as Spider-Man as in the Disney area, and his in-character brother is like, "Hey man, you want to take a picture with Spider-Man?" He's like, "Nah, I don't like Spider-Man." And he kept moving. I was like, oh, that was beautiful. Well done, ABC and Disney. You kept it in the family, so good job. That was very, very funny. By the way, Topher Grace played Venom in Spider-Man 3.
He's not a huge fan of him.
Right, yeah. So pretty good. So Spider-Man it is.
All right. So let's get into what have you been playing. Cicero, we'll go back your way first here.
Okay.
What have you been playing?
All right. So I've been playing Madden 23 franchise with my boy Mo. We're getting to the end of the first season. The game itself, the game on the field, is spectacular. As I alluded to in the first couple of weeks after playing it, it's still a little rough around the edges because they're still working out kinks. Well, apparently they've done some title updates, and that's actually made the game worse. Earlier today, Mo texted me and said he's trying to play his playoff game. He's had to quit the game 3 times because the kicking meter disappears, right? Well, the kicking meter is there, but when he goes to kick it, the arrows are gone. So he has no idea.
So it's like the Bears playing in real life.
Right, exactly. He has no idea how he's going to kick the ball. Even the sun shines on a dog's butt. But so he's had to quit the game 3 times in order to try and see if it would work. It turns out that the way you remedy this, apparently, according to the internet, is by pausing the game and unpausing it, and it'll come back.
The HUD just displays like that.
Right. It's just, it's like, choosing a bridge, like which this is their way to make sure you're a human. If you pause the game and you come back,
put in this capture real quick.
Right. Yeah. So there are several problems that the game is starting to have. They're still working on them. They're still doing all the stuff. But, we're getting into a month of the actual football season. They've got to kind of start fixing these problems. So the game is still great, right? Like when you're able to play the game, it is the best version of Madden, best version of simulation football in years.
I would agree. Madden is a part of what I've been playing, and I think on the field, it felt the most like football that I've played in a while because, I haven't purchased a Madden in a long time. I wait until it hits Game Pass, and I've tried every Madden since I stopped playing on Game Pass, and it just wasn't good until this year. This year I did the trial, and the on the field mechanics felt very, very good in the game.
Because they put Madden back on the cover.
Right, exactly. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the secret sauce. So, they
also, I do seem to recall that my Bears beat your 49ers week 1. So
that is true. That is true. I mean,
with some terrible kicks.
The dog sees a little more sun.
Right.
With some terrible kicks is what I was saying.
Well, the dog saw a lot of rain and terrible kicks. So Madden has to clean up his act, but the game is good. It's still making me come back. I've been playing more Fall Guys, been playing more MLB The Show, but I also turned on my PS5 and been playing a significant amount of time on my PS5 this week, playing the Call of Duty open beta. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 open beta.
So did you open beta? Never mind.
Right.
Never mind.
Yeah,
Ignore
it's
me.
Open beta. Yes, no problem. Don't worry about it.
Did you pre? No, I'm just kidding.
Right. So if you guys remember when I guess
please don't compare it to 52.
The Black Ops.
Okay.
No. Black Ops, whatever it was, and I was playing Warzone, and I was playing a lot of Black Ops, whichever whatever Call of Duty that was. I guess two iterations ago.
Cold War.
Yeah, Cold War. Yeah, and like I just couldn't get it. I just couldn't stop playing it.
Yeah.
Like I can feel that starting to come and course through my veins. The game is good, right? Like what they do. Like Activision knows what it is that they're doing, and this is Infinity Ward, right? Like they know how to make this game work well, and
Yeah.
as long as they know how to, like it ain't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It ain't broke. They didn't fix it, but they've been tweaking it, and the tweaks are good. The tweaks are really good, and I don't know if I necessarily had any preconceived notions before going into it or whatever, but it definitely has won me over. And on top of that, it's gorgeous, guys. It is so pretty, man.
Yeah.
It is just an incredibly looking game.
Yeah. I've heard the game. I've heard some things about the game because I've watched, some streamers play it, and they definitely have some issues. Like I heard that your actual character, their footsteps are super loud.
That was a thing. That's always been a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was even more prominent in this one. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people liking the beta so far.
Right.
So
yeah, it is. It's, well, I'll say this much: this beta is in a heck of a lot better shape than the Battlefield 2042 beta was. So and that game made that beta made a lot of gamers nervous about the state of that game, and they were right to be nervous. I don't think you have any reason to be nervous about the way, at least the state of the game. Maybe the net code, at launch, because it's a Call of Duty game, will be a problem. But the game itself, pretty good.
Justin, you were going to say something?
Yeah, it's definitely a good sign because this is supposed to last 2 years because they're going to be taking a year off, from my knowledge.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that it's not a dumpster fire. And it's actually playable and people are enjoying it. That's good.
I
was
going to say that too, Justin, that I think that's a really good sign,
Right. Yeah, there's a new weapon progression. So it's still the same kind of, like you got from Cold War, where you unlock different portions of the gun, and you can level up your different attachments, but you only get like 5 attachments for each weapon. But the weapons belong in trees, so you actually have like a weapon system, and you can swap out your weapon systems now, and they're on trees. There's all of this, there's like all of these different configurations that you can create for your different weapons, and really make it kind of your own, like tailor it to the style that works the best for you, which is super cool.
Yeah, I was reading about some of that progression of, like, it encourages you to use other weapons, instead of like the meta at all times, because in order to get certain attachments for like the MP5, you have to use a completely different and entirely different gun in order to progress for those. Because like I've watched some streamers, and the MP5 is the meta right now. It's that good, but like you still have to play other guns in order to actually unlock the MP5 and unlock the attachments for the MP5. So I heard that was a welcome change. It allows more variety in what you're playing and progression. Justin, what have you been playing?
So other than like Rocksmith and Dreamlight Valley, I've picked up a few new games. Number one, I need to rant here for a second about laundromats. And if you go into a laundromat and you destroy the place and throw garbage everywhere, please don't. Someone does have to clean it up, and that someone is sometimes me, because I picked up Arcade Paradise, and you start off in a laundromat in that game, and you have to clean up and unclog toilets and do people's laundry before you start buying arcade machines. And if you didn't know, this is an arcade game simulation rant here. Great game. Fantastic so far. It is 90s arcade. You are given a laundromat, which people destroy. Don't do that. And then you start turning it one machine at a time into an arcade because you see the profit. And it's really interesting. It's really good. It's got mini games, little fun stuff. And every single machine that you buy is a full-fledged game you can play in that arcade. You can literally go on
Awesome.
that machine and play it. These are not games you know. These are all like one-of-a-kind creations from the makers here.
Oh,
There's like 30, 35 of them, different arcade cabinets.
That's really cool.
Very fun, very cool. One of the coolest simulations of running an arcade I've ever seen. I don't see that ever really, but yeah, don't make a mess in a laundromat. It's a lot of work, even though it gives you a fun mini game to throw trash in a garbage dumpster. Don't be throwing your garbage. Other than
So
that,
you haven't seen people start an arcade, but have you seen messes in laundromats?
apparently, yeah, apparently it happens all the time, and then you have to pick up all the garbage, which doesn't like they
Oh
don't
my
highlight
goodness.
it or anything. You just gotta find it, and it's all over the place. People are slobs. Don't be that way in laundromats. Again, no laundromat messes.
PSA, public
yeah,
service announcement.
Yeah, it's not your place. It's not your house. Pick up after yourself. Other than that, Apple Arcade came out with a new game just recently. I was very excited when I heard it was coming. Shovel Knight Dig. This is a game
Oh,
that
okay,
is
cool.
a drill game. You basically go down into the earth and just collect things, and it's kind of like a roguelike in a sense of you go a run down,
Procedurally generated.
and then
Mhm.
after you get down and you die, you go back to the top and you can upgrade and do things to keep going and pushing yourself further down. It's Shovel Knight. You know, if you've ever played them, same animation, same style, same awesome 8-bit kind of graphics. Digging your way down into the earth on your phone with tap controls or sliding and swiping. So it's pretty cool. Apple Arcade. It's also on like everything else. Same with Arcade Paradise. That's on like everything as well. Enjoy.
I
Great
don't know. I
games.
think Shovel Knight Dig is only on Apple Arcade right now.
Right now. It is coming to Switch,
Yeah.
PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Windows soon. It
Oh,
is
okay.
it
Cool.
is on Apple Arcade right now. But yes, it is a good game. It's completely different. It's not Shovel Knight that you've played previously. It's not the sequel coming. It is a brand new game. Fun experience. If you ever played like
Yeah.
I forgot what they're called, but like the drill dozer, I think that's what would have been called back in the day, where you would drill your way down and just collect stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what it is, but with an iconic character of Shovel Knight. So yeah, that's what I've been playing. And don't throw garbage in your laundromats.
My goodness. These people out here, like I mean, destroying laundromats and inspiring games.
Yeah. Oh,
Good.
by the way, unclogging the toilet is a cool mini game where you basically are plunging a toilet and have to rotate sticks, and then it does damage counters as if you're beating a boss in like Final Fantasy or Borderlands, and then it says like "clog defeated" at the end. It's pretty cool. But yeah, no garbage.
Sounds gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good game.
Okay. So I haven't been on the show in a while.
Hi, Mike.
Have I mentioned that I beat God of War? Yeah,
Yes.
it's me, Mike. Nice to meet you. Shake your hand.
Yeah. You beat Ragnarok, or you beat the original God of War.
I beat Ragnarok. Yeah, it was great. Like people are gonna love the game. Played it on my Nintendo Switch. Anyway, no, I beat the original God of War 2018. Yeah, awesome game. All right,
Boy.
I mentioned that. Cool.
Yeah.
Me and Sean Rugg, we beat Escape Academy finally. So we were able to get together once more and finally beat that game. Fun little game. I would highly recommend it. I think the puzzles are unique. Obviously does not offer a lot of replayability, but it is still a pretty unique experience. The story in the game, yes, there is a story. Opens it up for multiple seasons. So I'm sort of wondering if they'll come out with like Escape Academy 2 or if they'll just like add seasonal content to the base game here, the original. So we'll see where they go with that. But overall, really good experience. Some of those puzzles, like especially in the final level, just really do stump you. And it was cool to play that game completely cooperative and get through it together with Sean. So
It's a good game.
all right, it is. It's fun. Another game that I did end up beating was The Quarry. This is a choice-driven slasher horror film inspired story, and I just could not put it down. Like that, it was the only thing that I was thinking about. I was wanting to get back to my Xbox to continue playing it. And what's interesting is that this is my first choice-driven adventure game, like with quick time events. I've haven't really played them, and
You missed Until Dawn. That was the GOAT.
You didn't play any of the Telltale games?
No. I mean, I played some of the original Batman one, but again, you've heard my stories before. I tried the Batman one back when I was just like a sports and Call of Duty gamer, and now now my gaming is so much wider, and I actually stuck with this Quarry game. And honestly, the story is awesome in the Quarry. And to go a little further into, kind of the philosophy of why I wanted to play this game, I love horror films. Horror films are my favorite genre. And one of the things that kept me playing the Quarry was to see if I can help the protagonist survive, and like survive a horror, because, people watching horror movies, that they're just screaming at the TV, like, why'd you make that decision? What are you doing? Stop, don't go in there. And, that's one of the things that was really cool about the Quarry, was that you can kind of live that and, create decisions, create scenarios where you are helping your protagonist survive away from the killers. And yeah, just really cool game. Good acting. Yeah, it looks pretty. It looks really good too on the Series X. Except for their hair. Their hair just was awful. Like you'll just like, it's just like flying in the wind, and it just looks so bad. Anyway, so after the Quarry, I decided to boot up Bayonetta. Because the new one's coming to Switch. I'm gonna buy the second one on Switch here soon. And oh my goodness, Bayonetta is wild. It's like, oh my goodness. It is M-rated so much. Like, keep this away from your children. Hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your children. Like, keep them away from Bayonetta. Yeah, but it still has great mechanics. And it's a good, fun action game. Has a unique level design. And has good variance with their villain, with their, villains and enemies that you're fighting. So, yeah, it's a good game. It's a good game. I have no idea what's going on in the story, but it's good. I have no idea what's going on, but it's fun, so. All right, that's what I've been playing. Let's get into the news. Gentlemen, I'm titling this "Let Us Have Competition" because in a recent interview with Bloomberg, Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella is very confident that the Activision Blizzard merger will be approved. In a statement in an interview given to Bloomberg, Nadella says, "Of course, any acquisition of this size will go through scrutiny, but we feel very, very confident that will come out." This is an article on IGN by George Yang, by the way. "A key concern, particularly for the Competition and Markets Authority, the CMA in the UK, has been that the merger could be anti-competitive for the gaming industry as a whole. However, Nadella points out that Microsoft's main competitor, Sony, has also acquired studios, including big ones like Bungie. Nadella continues, "So if this is about competition, let us have competition." Justin, thoughts on this? Do you like all the bickering back and forth that these guys are having?
I love it. I love to see CEOs bite heads off. You don't see that ever. That's why it's such big news when it does hit like this. This goes back to the innovation. Competition causes innovation, and that's something that's across the board in gaming. So one of the biggest things that I took away from this is Sony obviously saying that the 3 years is inadequate, and this is hurting the business, not causing innovation. This isn't a competition, which I'm just like, okay, whatever. If you look at, this is the prime example here. If you look at Splatoon 3, okay, this is Splatoon 3 on the Nintendo Switch. Now, Switch, Nintendo doesn't have Call of Duty. They used to have a few titles back in the day, but they don't have the modern Call of Duties. They had to innovate and make their own game. Splatoon 3 was that. Splatoon was their Call of Duty like game they made, and this game has basically blown every record out of the charts for Switch. Splatoon 3, the newest version. It is huge in Japan. It's crazy in Japan right now how many people want their hands on this game. This is showing the innovation because they don't have Call of Duty. We need to make something that's like Call of Duty or could do good for us just as if it was Call of Duty. And that's what they've done. That's what it does. It puts you up against the ropes so that you can grow as a company, as a business. You don't back down and say, this is unfair. This is a war. This is what gaming companies do. They're always going to be bickering back and forth, but that's why you need to innovate. That's why you need to grow from it. You can't just back down and say that it's inadequate or not fair that you get 3-year deal. I feel like innovation is good for gaming, and that's 100% in my book. Innovation against competition in gaming is going to only better us as a consumer, and that's a hard take, but it is what it is, and there's proof right behind Splatoon.
Cicero, what you got on all this?
Man, there's going to be competition. I kind of agree, right? Like I think it was a reductive answer from the CEO, but I do kind of agree with the answer, because there are myriad gaming companies, development houses, all sorts of places, and and all sorts of things that even internationally, I understand people talking about the competitive nature, especially since Activision Blizzard is humongous, but we can look at Disney, right? Like Disney owns everything around the world, and still it still doesn't seem like it's some kind of antitrust. Like nobody in the world is talking about antitrust with Disney. They own everything, save like 4 things. When it comes to like the things you watch and you love, right? Like if you, Marvel, the Star Wars, little kid stuff, grown up stuff, adult stuff. If it's on Broadway, if like they've got everything, right? The only thing they don't have is DC, right? Like that's it. They don't have Matrix and Superman and the Batman, right?
And the
like
Batman.
and the Batman, right? So like if you can't say that they're involved in some kind of antitrust, it's really hard to make the argument that Microsoft is somehow going to have some like unfair monopoly over the games industry. And when one of the houses, Nintendo, right? Like they make their own games and they do incredibly well. And Microsoft, despite buying Activision Blizzard, still can't get a foothold into some of the regions that Nintendo just kind of take for granted that they're gonna do well there. So like it's hard to really come out and say definitively that this argument that there is an unfair competitive advantage that Microsoft is going to have as a result of owning this group, that is both unprecedented and impossible to overcome, is really difficult to kind of to kind of like prove as that being the case, because again, Disney is the perfect precedent for
that's really what I'm saying.
What they could be.
That's really what I'm saying, because it's like Nintendo didn't have Call of Duty, and they're still selling like hotcakes.
Right.
They don't have that that IP that Sony is saying is going to crush them because they're not going to have it under their belt. Nintendo doesn't have that. Mike, go ahead. I know you haven't gotten your take yet, so.
Well, no, it's okay. I mean, like even what you just said, they don't have Call of Duty under their belts, after 3 years. Like
Right.
Xbox is saying you're going to have 3 years, and who's to say that at the end of those 3 years they won't reach another agreement to still keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. So just the semantics of it all is just very annoying because Jim Ryan's coming out and saying that it's inadequate, and yet Microsoft does not have any reason, Microsoft has every right to spend $69 billion and keep Call of Duty exclusive, and they're still giving them 3 years.
Mhm.
Like, how is that not adequate? And then on top of it, what you just said, Justin, I think is a very valid point as well, is that, Sony has a bunch of IP that is first person shooters. Like, they could innovate, they could create more. That they have the Killzone franchise. I mean, they could go back. They have Resistance. They could go to EA and cut a deal with them with Battlefield and maybe have some of their studios. So there's other things to be happening here. And I think that all of this talk is very annoying at this point, especially with the caveat that Microsoft is keeping Call of Duty on PlayStation for 3 more years. Cicero.
Well, yeah. Two things. One, there's something that you said when we were discussing this privately that I thought was really salient, which was like it's kind of ridiculous for Jim Ryan to complain about Microsoft making the game exclusive to their platform, while also in one breath and then the next breath lauding the fact that they have exclusive content for the exact same game that they're worried about losing. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Now I personally do not believe that Microsoft, when these 3 years are up, is going to look at the Call of Duty franchise and say it's platform exclusive, or it's console exclusive, or yes, console exclusive, and then available on the PC platform. I don't foresee them doing that because they're taking money from themselves, and there's no reason to take that money from themselves. If they can make it available and someone wants to pay a license fee and pay full price for the game to play it on the PlayStation 5, then go right ahead and do it. Right? Like, if you want to buy my product, even if I don't like you, I can sell it to you because you're willing to buy it. Right? Yeah. Like, I
at $70
like money.
A pop.
Right. I like money more than I don't like you. Like, and that just, that just makes sense. So like, I don't understand that the argument, like that if people are making this assumption that because Phil Spencer said it's going to be available for the next 3 years, that 4 years from now there won't be a new Call of Duty on the PlayStation. I don't see that. What I do see is Jim Ryan complaining about the fact that they don't have console exclusive content anymore, and that Microsoft and right, and marketing campaigns and all of those other things, and Microsoft winds up having those things. What was it for Destiny? Destiny had an exclusivity promotional contract with Sony, and then Xbox or Microsoft did what was it, like a cologne ad for Destiny as their way to promote Destiny, because they couldn't talk about the actual game or something like that, or it may have been flipped the other way around. I forget which it was.
Yeah, I mean, I know Destiny had a huge, like, gun and like a legendary gun or whatever that was like 2 years exclusive to Sony. Right. And like some of these ludicrous like marketing and exclusive content deals, like you think about Call of Duty, especially being a yearly franchise, they would take away a whole section of the game from Xbox players in recent years for a full year. nobody on Xbox is going to play that game mode because the new Call of Duty has come out. Like, Sony knows exactly what they're doing with those marketing deals, and that's why they're very upset about this whole deal, is because they know that this will cut into their market share. In which like, if you think about this in another way, if this acquisition goes through, they will still be in third place behind Nintendo and Sony. Like, I mean, it might be a slow creep into that second place above Nintendo, but still, like, even with a publisher acquisition, which is what they're going through,
right?
They still might be in third place afterwards.
Yeah, I honestly, I think that the console war, this acquisition, provided it goes through, this acquisition kind of ends as we talked about when it was first announced, that it ends the console war, right? This is not a console war anymore. It's a content war. And if Sony wants to continue to fight the console war, they can continue to do so and sell as many consoles as they want. But the margins on those consoles aren't great, right? They're making them better now. Sony is, by making their components cheaper and selling the console for more money. But like, that's not where these companies are making their money. Where they're making their money is in their licensing fees, right? So you've got to pay to license the game on the console and do all of that stuff, and so companies are paying for that stuff. Well, Sony's got to figure out a way, right, where you're not like, Microsoft's not desperate to pay for the privilege to publish their games on the PlayStation, as much as Sony will be hoping or courting some of the software that Microsoft will own to be on their console, right? And, but like, the console exclusivity stuff is something that was very important to Sony, and it was very important to their growth, because people were making console purchases, console decisions, based on where the content for the games that they wanted to play was 100%. Going to be. And with that gone, and with the fact that Microsoft is changing the way content is delivered via Game Pass, right? If I am a big Call of Duty gamer, right? If two of the games that I play every year are Madden and Call of Duty, I'm really trying to determine where, like, it almost becomes a no-brainer, because I can, if I'm like Mike, I wait until Madden comes in a Game Pass, I can play Madden for free every year for 6 months, and that's good enough for me. And I can play Call of Duty for a whole year just by paying for Game Pass.
Yeah.
That's it. I can pay my, $120, $150 a year, and I've got all of this content that for Justin, and all of this other content.
Justin, you're trying to get in. Go ahead.
So, probably to close us out on this topic, I'm going to go into the duck prediction here.
All right.
If Sony doesn't innovate and recreate one of their old franchises, which I would like to see SOCOM myself over Resistance and Killzone, I'd like SOCOM back in the limelight. Then this is Phil's ploy after the 3 years to get rid of cross-play taxes. And if it works to get rid of that cross-play tax, the next step is going to be to put Game Pass on PlayStation. If you want Call of Duty, there's Game Pass. It's in Game Pass. Put that app on your system. That's a far-fetched one out there, but for sure the cross-play tax to get rid of that.
I don't ever see that happening, but yeah, I mean, you just got to think that, like, Microsoft doesn't want to pay that tax, nor does Epic, and that's also another thing. Let's not get it started. Quick news story here. Cyberpunk numbers have gone insane since the Netflix anime has released. every single day it is going up in players since it all released, has showed no signs of slowing down. I believe both of you guys have played Cyberpunk at the start, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
I haven't played it since I beat it. That's the last time I played it.
So yeah, I mean, this is just crazy that everybody's returning to, you know, Cyberpunk and trying to play this, especially after the anime. The anime got fantastic reviews. I've actually watched an episode or two, and it's really good. But you know, Justin, just give people a sales pitch. Like, why should they revisit Night City?
So I don't watch anime, but if you do, watch that. That'll give you a little insight. But when it comes to Cyberpunk 2077, this game was a No Man's Sky. This was a game that was highly anticipated for fans. The bar was placed very high, and that wasn't able to deliver at launch. But just like No Man's Sky, the developers kept working on it and kept pushing to bring us what they promised. And from what I can see, it has been much improved since its launch, and it works on, you know, Xbox and the console generations that are out now. I played on PC when I got it, and that's where I played most of my gameplay with pretty little to no bugs. But for the most part, all those bugs that people were talking about have been fixed by now. New HUD, new map, new way of looking around, the graphics, the AI, the way that the police come at you, the way that everything interacts with you. And they're even working on some DLC coming. So, you know, if you like Mr. Neo from The Matrix, Keanu Reeves, you will like this game. He plays a big part in this game, and his character is something to definitely enjoy. If you like future, if you like sci-fi, if you want to live in the future with sci-fi, it's a great game to do that. Create your own character as much as you'd like. Customize that with cybernetic parts and different upgrades. It's very well done, and it looks great doing it. And a very flushed out story to really dive you in and even make you want to play multiple times, because there's 3 different ways you can do it.
Cicero, CD Projekt Red has announced that at least 1 million people have played the game each day this past week. Is that pretty crazy to you?
Yes, congratulations to them. It's surprising, but not, right? Like, when something goes viral and it has a piece of nostalgic content attached to it, people usually seek out whatever that nostalgic content is. And, you know, what's funny is a friend of mine and I were having a conversation. We were doing, you know, Discord chat last week, and we, you know, talking about TV shows we were watching and stuff like that. And I said, hey, have you watched the new Cyberpunk show? I said, no, not yet, but I saw that it's there on Netflix. And I was like, yeah, I saw, you know, watched the trailer. It looks cool. And he goes, yeah. And we were talking about, oh, yeah, they just patched Cyberpunk again. And he goes, yeah, I need to go back and play it. Right. And he checks his Steam and he's like, man, I haven't played this game since January 2021. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, there was a tweet that was released that said Cyberpunk 2077 hit 555 concurrent players on Steam today, the highest it's been since early January 2021.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, you know, I mean, the thing is, this couldn't have come at a more opportune time for the franchise to get this influx of players because the game is in the best state it's been ever. And you know, so there is a chance for them to retain lots of those players because the content that's there is very rich. There's lots of stuff that you can do. It's not quite The Witcher 3 in Cyberpunk, you know, set in the future, but it's pretty good. And I think that these people will be around for a little bit. You know, I probably, I think by the time we hit the middle of October, definitely by the time we hit, this time next month, this time in October, these numbers will be way back down. They may not be back to what they were before. I think there'll still be people around because the game at this point now is really good. I don't know if it's quite the No Man's Sky success story that No Man's Sky has been, because No Man's Sky has content on top of content on top of content, and it's more open-ended and more it's easier for you to foresee someone just kind of getting lost in that game and doing stuff that's not truly repetitive. I don't think that there's really enough content in Night City and Cyberpunk 2077 for you to play it in that way. But kudos to them. And this should be the shot in the arm, the necessary shot in the arm for them, the cybernetic upgrade that will help them
not make the
move
same
forward.
mistake. Yeah.
Yes. move forward in with the IP.
Well, let's talk about another cybernetic being. It is time for Test Your Might. Yeah, it worked. Just trust me. Test Your Might, the namesake of the show. It's time to debate. Hoods are up. Mom's spaghetti.
Lasagna.
Yes.
Lasagna?
Yeah,
Oh, I like spaghetti.
Lasagna.
Yep.
Who
Hell cow here to
Who
stay.
cares?
Let's go.
All right. So EA Motive has announced a new action-adventure Iron Man game. That's where the segue came in. Who should the villain be? Oh, Justin, you won last episode, when there was an actual host. Yeah,
Yes.
I think so. All right. You are first up. Would you like to choose first and argue first, or choose second and argue second?
I'll argue second. Cicero, you take the lead this time.
You should have chosen second and argued first.
That wasn't an option.
Okay, so the perfect villain for this Iron Man game, of course, is the Winter Soldier.
Okay.
All right.
Please expound.
Oh, okay, sure. Well, so we're going to play this game in the MCU, right? After the events of Civil War.
Oh, okay.
And we know that the Winter Soldier, that Bucky was responsible for killing Tony's parents, and Tony retaliated against Bucky, the Winter Soldier, and now the Winter Soldier and Iron Man are at odds. That Iron Man does not appreciate the fact that Bucky didn't do this, but the Winter Soldier was programmed to be this killer, and that Bucky is remorseful of this. That does not matter to Tony. Tony is fighting him, and Bucky is just trying to defend himself against this guy who is trying to kill him. So he is a reluctant villain to Tony Stark's Iron Man.
Justin.
Bucky, huh? All right. While he has been defeated, he has not been destroyed. This is going to be a take in the mind of Tony Stark, in the mind of Iron Man, which we've seen in the MCU a couple times through his dreams. And this is the character Nightmare, one of Doctor Strange's biggest villains, one that Doctor Strange had to do a spell every night to protect him from. This was a character that could torment a soul in their sleep, kind of the Freddy Krueger of the MCU. This was something that was pure evil. Nightmare is something that fans would love to see. Now, Bucky is a good choice. I like it. I think Iron Man could probably take care of him pretty quick. I honestly don't think he would put up as much of a challenge as Nightmare would. Nightmare, you'd be playing on his battlefield. Now, sadly for the MCU, Iron Man is not around. So you chose a good timeline for Bucky to be the villain. This was something that could lead into the entire story of Endgame and Infinity War, of warning Iron Man what was going to happen. Even before with Ultron, it was something that was shown in his dreams. This Nightmare character would play a perfect role as the villain because the company creating this also is making Dead Space, and that's a creepy game. So I feel like this could directly correlate into a very easy, straightforward, linear experience of storytelling where you'd be fighting his dreams, his minions, and trying to keep him sane through the events until he gets to Endgame. This would be a great way of visually showing a story that we didn't get to see very much of the pain and the torment of failing as Iron Man throughout this entire story and fighting off minions and the own mental strains. You know, we saw a lot of it in the Spider-Man movie with the green head guy.
Yeah, Mysterio.
We saw a lot of that kind of like mind jumbling stuff with Doctor Strange. I really think visually this could really hit a strong point there. With that remastering with the 4K, we could see those things growing around him in a nightmare-esque element, which really ties in with the developer already.
That's a really interesting choice. I guess my question eventually would be, how does Tony Stark beat someone that Doctor Strange had to set spells for in order to protect himself against? So like, unless Iron Man can arc reactor himself into the Sorcerer Supreme, then, it seems like he's kind of powerless to fight against that. And that, like, I get that you want to challenge your gamers, but it seems like you may be challenging your gamers into an impossible scenario. And that's difficult in and of itself. What I'm proposing is, it is MCU-esque, right? Like, we can assume that the players that are playing this game have seen those movies, know about those things, and we can play off of them. They don't have to be in the MCU, but it could be evocative of the MCU, taking, almost like an historical fiction version of some of those events, and we can allow those to play out in a different way. So maybe we don't find out. Maybe Tony doesn't find out in the Russian base from Captain America that Bucky was the one, that the Winter Soldier was the one that killed his parents. Maybe he's investigating and he's finding all of this stuff out, and he knows who Bucky is. He knows who the Winter Soldier is because of Captain America and everything else. But then he finds this stuff out and he goes into a rage and he winds up fighting the Winter Soldier, and the Winter Soldier now is defending himself against Tony Stark, and who's justifiably upset because this is the person that killed his parents. And it's that dynamic that and how you can take the protagonist of the game, right? Like, you buy a game with this guy's face on the cover and he is the hero. But then you get into the game and like, he's still the hero, but the pathos is there, right? Like, there's so much there. Like, maybe he isn't the hero. Like, he kind of is the antagonist in all of this because he feels justified in his antagonizing of this person who is defending themselves, but also a very, very real threat to Iron Man and to survival and all of those things. And you've got to, as the player, play as Iron Man, but also fight the Winter Soldier at points when you feel kind of sorry for him, right? Like as you're fighting him, like I'm emotionally conflicted as I'm playing. Like that type of gameplay, right? That type of immersion is something we rarely see in games. But this is an opportunity to really do that and do it in a way that that broadens the conversation and gets people to talk about video games after they finish them. There are a lot of like indie games where, you know, people feel things and they have like round tables and they discuss them and they do all that stuff. You never do that with a licensed game. You never go, but if you do something like this, that would be round table discussing. That'd be round table worthy.
Justin, rebuttal, please answer that question. How does Iron Man beat this villain?
Of course. First, I want to address that Cicero said that Iron Man might be the villain in this game, which kind of changes the question into both Bucky and Iron Man is the villain.
I didn't say he wasn't the villain. I just said he may be the antagonist.
That's also very similar. As to my question that I have to answer, this is going to be a very immersive experience. You're basically traveling through Tony's dreams as Iron Man. So from the scariness of Nightmare coming at you to flying around through hordes of enemies with the squadron, you know, they made rogue squadrons as well. The flight suits that Anthem possibly, hopefully, I hope they use Anthem. Everyone's saying Anthem. Please use the flight stuff from that. Hear us. But to answer your question, this isn't about defeating him as a person, Nightmare. This is about fighting off the bad urges, the bad thoughts, the bad cruelty that's coming into Iron Man himself as a character and escaping that and coming back to the real world, waking up and staying in the good mindset that Iron Man has to be in. This is about fighting off that urge in order to figure it out. This is fear of the unknown here, because we don't really see a lot of Nightmare other than in comics, and you don't really get to see that in as a character in the MCU at all right now. So the MCU has gone a little bit creepy, especially with the new Doctor Strange. I feel like this is an easy way for them to continue to transition into that, with Nightmare being a lead villain that he has to go to Doctor Strange and find out about. Obviously, Strange isn't revealing these secrets, and Iron Man, of course, he's weak compared to Doctor Strange in a way, right? He doesn't have that spiritual connection that allows him to control his astral projection, which Nightmare is going to feed off of. So I feel like this race to get away, to fight off, to get to the end of that finish line so that he can wake up and stay good Iron Man before turning into a bad Iron Man is really the immersion level that gamers want. To see a character they love have to fight for his own sanity is huge. Someone that they really care about and were very sad about, spoilers, to see him fight for that throughout Endgame that we didn't even see behind the scenes what's happening, would be something that would only make his character better and not make us see him as possibly an antagonist, possibly, you know, the protagonist. This is something that would, you know, really hold that character to a higher pedestal, if anything.
Okay. Calling it.
Okay.
Justin, I really, really enjoyed your angle. I think that bringing in sort of the Dead Space argument and bringing that into the fold was really good. I think Cicero's game is slightly more action adventure oriented, and that's what the game is going to be. And I also really enjoy taking what is traditionally a Captain America villain and bringing it into an Iron Man game and having that be the sole focus and utilizing that storyline through the MCU. So I'm going to give that one to Cicero, although it was very, very close. I think that's an...
Nightmare was a Doctor Strange villain, to be fair. I'm bringing it over to Iron Man, so that point is null and void.
Right.
All right, sure, fine. His game's more of an action adventure game. There we go.
Sure. There it is. Mine's more action survival horror, but
yeah.
To each his own.
All right. I thought this was pretty interesting, and I thought it would be fun to do this argument for you guys here today. So Ted Lasso and the AFC Richmond team, the squad are coming to FIFA 23. I've never watched Ted Lasso, but apparently it's amazing.
It's amazing.
What movie or TV show sports team should be the next team created in their respective video game? So obviously what that means is basketball team needs to be in NBA 2K. So
I swear to God, if
Cicero
this Major League again, I swear to God.
Cicero, you won that last debate, so I'm going losers out this week. Justin, I'm going to give you the power once again. Would you like to go first or second? And
I'll go.
This time I will give you the choice. You could choose first and then argue second, or you could choose second and argue first. Who knows?
I'd like to choose first and argue first.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I this question was is a curveball for me, literally. And I know Blitz the League isn't a thing anymore, and we have Madden, so that's the closest
Okay.
I can go to it. I'm bringing the Gridiron Gang in. The old school baddies turning good with great discipline and learning how to play the game of football. A true underdog story. The Gridiron Gang with Dwayne The Rock, and I might tear up during it because his fatherly stuff is really tough for me in this movie. But yeah, Gridiron Gang, get the Mustangs in Madden football. Get them to run a touchdown against the big guys. Only more of an underdog story is to play against big NFL teams instead of college teams.
Okay.
All right.
Cicero,
Fun stuff.
I agree. Good choice.
Okay, kids, gather around as
Major
right. Uncle Cicero spins you a yarn. Back in the 70s, there were two basketball associations. There was the National Basketball Association, the NBA, and the American Basketball Association, the ABA. The ABA had all sorts of innovations. They slam dunk. They had red, white, and ball. Right. They had Julius Erving. They invented the slam dunk contest. All of these things that really excited the game and excited the crowd and really made everything great. They were so great that the NBA was afraid that the ABA would take over, and the NBA bought the ABA and merged most of the teams. Well, this team didn't exist. However, they were part of the ABA in their movie, and that is the Flint, Michigan Tropics from the ABA Lampoon movie Semi-Pro. They were is famously played by Will Ferrell. He was Jackie
Okay.
Moon.
I was
And
okay.
yeah, he was Jackie Moon, and he was the I think owner, head coach, and player on the team. So in this version, they actually make it to the NBA, and they all come in with their afros and their super short shorts, and they're playing basketball in NBA 2K.
There you go,
I
Justin.
should have went with dodgeball. I knew it. Should have went with it. There's no game for dodgeball except Super Dodgeball, and that's old school.
Super
Dodgeball Academy.
great.
I guess, yeah. It doesn't really have teams. Like, well, regardless.
Okay.
Um,
Gridiron
se-
Gang into Madden.
Semi-pro here. Will Ferrell, Woody Harrelson. Wow. Okay. Gridiron Gang. Like I said, the underdog story. You have these kids that grew up in terrible, downtrodden neighborhoods, that were arrested and fined and put together as a team to build character. And you really need that underdog story. Like to say that this team has made it to the big leagues in a sense of the NFL, but made it into the bigger picture. The Mustangs would only benefit from that. You would have that underdog story lead all the way to the big stuff. Not just a short win here, but also all the way. To know that all that character building and discipline and trust between the teammates and brotherly love really brought you to the end line, to the field goal post, pretty much. This would only benefit them and benefit life as in general. You know, people in the world that feel like their life is over once they get arrested or once they have problems, could look at this team and be blown away at how much they could recover and almost exceed expectation. This is something that could be a benefit to society as a whole outside of NFL men. Sure, great, have a team in there. The Mustangs fight against the Bears and probably win in field goals, but you would also have some great gameplay elements. You know, obviously blitz isn't a thing. I wish it was, because we'd have some dirty fights, because that's what always happens. But you don't need it to have that good team, because that's what really shows that good character building is them playing by the rules and it's still winning. And that's what Madden does right. You know, minus a few bugs here and there. We've got it sold in Madden. So put the Mustangs in there. For semi-pro, I'm really curious. You're going to put them in 2K. Where are you going to put these guys?
Yeah, I said NBA 2K.
Okay.
In fact, oh, you're not done. Go ahead.
So
please.
I don't play a lot of 2K. Occasionally, I'll play it, but I really feel like these guys would not fit in right. You know, like I don't think that this team would work in a standard setting of 2K. The dunking, the extra stuff, the extra moves, it would almost feel like an NBA Jam kind of thing to put in. I feel like you chose the wrong game there. I think NBA Jam would have been a better fit for them. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I feel.
Okay, you felt it. So here's how they're the right fit, right? So one of the great things about NBA 2K annually is the My Career mode. You start out as a player, you create your player, and they concoct some scenario for you to go through. And throughout the course of your first season, you're playing through many of these different scenarios as you make your way to whatever the excuse is for the year until you either win the championship or move on to whatever, right? Like you move on to free agency. Well, now we can actually have a Jackie Moon mode in NBA 2K. You guys can start out as the Flint, Michigan Tropics in the ABA in last place. You're working through all of the stuff. You're kind of almost reliving bits and bites of the actual movie, but also playing on the court. So the better you do on the court in the course of the ABA, the more likely you are to be able to be selected to join the NBA when the NBA and the ABA merge. And then if you make it through, and there's like different scenarios, different milestones that you can hit throughout the course of the first part of that mode, that will allow you to do whatever it is to make it to the next part, which is the NBA merger. Then part 2 begins, and part 2 is showing how this group of players that seems like it doesn't fit in actually fits in, right? So you're playing, and one of the things in the new version of NBA 2K is there are different eras of the NBA that you have. So these guys can come in just post the merger, and you play through part 2, and that will allow the team to potentially win a championship in the NBA. And you've gone through the season, you've merged to the NBA, now you're playing through an NBA season, and you're trying to become NBA champions. That's part 2 for your first through that season. Then part 3 is if you make it through that, you add the Flint, Michigan Tropics to the NBA era. So then they could be part of the post-merger first era that they have for the My Team, it's My Team. No, it's My Career and not My Player. I think it's My Career, where they have the different eras, and the first era is the Magic Bird era, which begins in like 1979. So You merge in 76. You play through you play through, or you merge in 77. You play through a season in 78, and then 79 you're part of now the My Career with the Michigan Tropics, and you're able to play through the Bird Magic era, and you start your My Career from there.
I do want to say, Semi-Pro unfortunately did not make its box office or budget back in box office. Gridiron Gang did, and it was 120 minutes or so for Gridiron and 92 for Semi-Pro. Unfortunately, they didn't make their money back. I don't know if that's because The Rock was on it and you had Will Ferrell. I don't know if that's the reason. I know Sony produced the or distributed the Gridiron Gang, and I think yours was New Line Cinema. But guess more people like football, huh?
Yeah, well, you know what? They can license that IP to 2K
for cheaper.
And it does well. They'll make their money back on Semi-Pro. It's, sometimes, the idea is great. The execution is not so much.
I don't want to see Will Ferrell in a 2K game. That's the problem. I don't want to see him in a 2K game.
Will Ferrell with a Jew fro in short shorts?
No.
Oh, it's gold,
thanks,
baby.
Man.
Gold.
All right, I'll call it. Justin, Cicero's argument was just a little bit more fleshed out, so I got to give it to him. I think that you chose the better team to game.
Oh, did I mention Exhibit? Exhibit's going to be like the cheerleader for the side. He's going to be in a cheerleader. Yeah.
Cicero just kind of fleshed out how they would be implemented in the game a little bit better. So
I'm just happy it wasn't Major League. We're okay. Or bench warmers for that matter. I'm glad he chose something.
Angels in the outfield.
That would have been fine. I would have been fine with that.
Yep. All right. Portal is getting a ray tracing update with the new NVIDIA 40 series of cards. What older game should get ray traced? Justin.
Hi. Can I go third this time?
Yeah, sure.
I go third.
All right. I'm going to go third and answer first.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to say it again. I've said it before, and I feel like it's still a valiant choice here for ray tracing in a game that's going to look great. I know we touched base on it back with the Matrix, ray tracing, new Unreal Engine test beta thing we had. So I feel like this is the game that's really going to show a difference. And if we get 4K ray tracing or ray tracing, real-time ray tracing in this game, it's going to only immerse you more and make the experience much more enjoyable in this underwater city of Rapture. We're talking about BioShock, the original BioShock, water everywhere, puddles everywhere. The amount of reflections and the amount of ray tracing would only immerse you more and make it feel much more creepy and also much more like impactful when things do happen inside.
That's a good one.
Cicero.
Yeah, my older game is pretty old. I guess I played it on my Xbox 360. Yes, Xbox 360.
Where Justin played his too.
Yeah, and I think this game could really benefit from ray tracing, and that game is Grand Theft Auto 5. Talk about puddles. There are puddles in in San Andreas, but there are also shiny cars and buildings and windows and windows and windows and metal objects. There's lots of stuff there that could make that. I mean, it's a city, and nothing could make it even, or ray tracing would make it even more immersive. Talk about immersion levels. First person ray tracing in Grand Theft Auto 5. You can't beat that.
Justin.
So GTA 5 officially came to Xbox Series X and S and PS5 consoles in March, bringing along new graphical enhancements like ray tracing. So they've already made that step, maybe not full, real life ray tracing like we have in Forza, but they have already made that foot in the door to make it ray tracing there. I feel like why?
It's
Why
not unlocked.
Cicero, why do you want
It's not
another
unlocked.
version of GTA? Why? I'm asking you, please stop. We've got proof 6 is in the works. Do not take them away from that. Let them continue their work. Give us something that was long forgotten and remastered in 1080p. Bring it to 4K with ray tracing and have a great new flock of gamers try out this experience of BioShock and enjoy it. To hold us over for the next 30 years before we've got GTA 6. We've got so many versions of 5. Please stop. No, it's an old game because it's been on every system for the last 10 years. We need something that's not streamlined to grab gamers with a unique experience. That's why they're bringing, Dead Space is coming back and it's going to look great. We brought Alan Wake remastered back and had it awesome looking. These scary action adventure games with unique storylines. Bring them forward. Give us something new and not something that we've replayed and retreaded on so many times. It's like Skyrim. If you were to say Skyrim, I would have punched myself in the face. I'm done with GTA. I'm done with Skyrim.
No ducks were hurt in the filming of this episode.
Let's get the future of gaming by bringing old games.
Right. Let's get the future of gaming by talking about the past.
Not by making tiptoey steps towards the future. Let's have something that wasn't remastered properly and bring it forward into a new experience. Something that's going to blow your mind, not just be like, oh, they finally added that. After everything else, here's another one little thing they can add and sell you another bundle. Let's make it a new experience. Full-fledged 4K ray tracing of a game that came out back in the day. BioShock wins. I'm done with GTA 5. Stop it.
Well, you're done with GTA 5, but the gaming community is not. And so point of order, ray tracing is not currently available for Grand Theft Auto 5. But it is not currently available on any iteration of the game. It is a thing that they are talking about adding and a hidden feature in Xbox Series X and PS5 versions of the game. But it's not currently out. And hopefully it will be available in the PC version of the game.
I just mean, why would you want to tiptoe towards the future when you could take
That's not
something...
a tiptoe. That is a gigantic leap. It is not
they've got
a gargantuan...
the 4K. They've got the visual buff that makes it look so realistic.
Sure.
A ray tracing is another step in the right direction, but why not take a piece of dirt from the past and chuck it into the future to change the experience and make it better, instead of just continuing to make new reiterations of the same game that I love and I have completed over and over and over.
Because it is proven that if I create new versions of this game, people will buy them.
Yeah. And
so if I can make a market improvement, make a market improvement to the game, and I present it to people, the people buy it. They've been buying the game for 13 years.
Yeah. And then at this rate,
a lot of windows.
At this rate, with the tiptoeing that we're getting and the moving forward and new iterations of the game, we won't be seeing GTA 6 until call back to Cyberpunk 2077. We won't see it until 2077. By the rate,
I told you 2032, man. Don't worry.
Not if you keep making money on the same thing over and over and over.
Okay, I'm calling it. Justin won this one. Point of another order. GTA 5 does have ray tracing mode in the PS5 and Xbox Series S and X versions. So your point of order has been ordered. So Justin won that one.
Not on PC.
Not on PC yet. I have played some of the Bioshock first game, and I do agree that a ray tracing version would be epic. So, okay, it is time for the blind fight.
Mom's
And-
lasagna.
Justin, you need this to survive.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Do I get to go fourth
So-
or fifth?
Seventh.
Oh,
Eighth.
all right.
Okay, so I saw a question on IGN today, where it was like a poll that was asking people whether or not they purchase games based on publisher or developer. So your task is to argue which one people should be buying games from, either developer or publisher. So what is going to sway their decision, developer or publisher? And your task also is a quick attack. Yes, we are doing a quick attack on this one here. So, Justin,
I
and
won
listeners,
that one,
if you're,
so
if
it's,
you, yes, yeah, sure, you did. Okay, Cicero, listeners, if
I'm fair.
I forgot I was doing losers out. I'm sorry.
Okay, hey, you're the adjudicator.
Yeah, listeners, if you do not know what a quick attack is, these two gentlemen here, these two gentle shenanigan folks, will have 1 minute for their opening argument, 30 seconds for a rebuttal, and 30 seconds for a closing argument. So, Cicero, are you taking developer or are you taking publisher?
I'm going to take developer.
Justin, which means you have publisher. Cicero, please tell me why people should be buying video games based on developers.
Developers are the ones who come up with the designs. They come up with the ideas. They come up with the mechanics. They create the stories. And usually, if a development house has a good track record over several games, then you can trust that the game that they're coming out with, while it may not be your number one cup of tea, it may be good because you've liked their other games. And it's not necessarily the same. You can say the same thing about the publisher. There are lots of games from publishers that they're games that I like and games that I don't like. But development houses, right? Insomniac makes games that I love, right? Because it's Insomniac, and I know that I'm going to go and I'm going to play an Insomniac game, and I know I'm going to get a great experience. Naughty Dog's another one that I know that I'm going to get a great experience. Respawn is another one where I know I'm going to get a great experience.
Time. No, that great experience remark is off the record.
Oh.
Justin, you have 1 minute to argue why people should buy based on publisher.
So like Cicero said, developers are very good to buy off of because you see them making that game. You know, they make the individual product that you like or don't like, and you pick it based on them. Publishers really choose what to sell and who to sell it for. So they're already that first check for you to see if something's good or not. You don't see EA or Bungie coming out with games that are just like, you know, an indie game or something that just doesn't flow well with their sales promotions and their marketing. So they're going to pick those games that really fit that already genreized content. So, you know, if you're going to buy a game from EA, you're probably going to get one of the following types of games for the most part. It does change over time, but it's kind of like a blanket over all of the developers behind. And if you see a big name publisher there, then you know that they have their
time.
Check.
Mike.
Time.
Cicero,
It's time.
30 seconds
Yes.
for rebuttal.
It's an alarm.
30 seconds for a rebuttal.
Yep.
Okay. Well, first things first, Justin came out and said publishers like EA and Bungie. Then Bungie, sir, is a development house, so they belong to my group, And you're just making my point for me. The developers are the ones that you remember. Those are the ones where you seek those games out, and it doesn't matter if it's Microsoft, Activision, or Sony. Bungie is who you're following, not the publisher.
I'm striking your Bungie from argument because Bungie is a self-publisher, so they develop and self-publish.
Well, they self-publish now, but they haven't published a game for themselves yet. They've
Destiny
only
2.
published DLC. Destiny 2 was Activision.
All right, I'll give you a half point for the Bungie. Justin, go ahead.
So let's take it back to developers here. I don't feel like by themselves they could get their name across the marketing board. You wouldn't even hear about a lot of these games with just the developers on the box. It's really the publishers that sell the games. Obviously, that's what their job is. So without them, a lot of these big names that you're claiming are big names for developers wouldn't even be known because they wouldn't have had their name broadcast across the market. And time.
No.
Bungie, half point.
Bungie, half point. Cicero, final argument.
What do I have? I have 30 seconds for this?
30 seconds. You know what? We're running out of time. You have 15 seconds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Dang.
Clock starts when you start talking.
He said,
I don't count the ums. Half point.
Yeah, right. So, yes, you're right that the publishers sell the games, but the last time I checked, I wasn't buying music from the record label. I was buying music from the artist. I'm not buying the games because of the publisher. I'm buying the games because of the developer.
No, because of the developer, strike from the record.
No, not the whole thing. Because of the dev, that part was in.
No.
Was out.
No, because started at the clock. All right, 15 seconds, Justin.
So I'm tired of listening to it. I'm tired of it. Publisher is the bigger name on the box. Obviously, it's the one that sells the game. It's the one that gives the commercials out. That's what matters most. That's what you're buying because of. Sure, the game you like is on there.
Nope. Nope.
I didn't say nothing else.
Is on there.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
From the record.
Okay. Objection.
Quarter point. Quarter point. Oh, that's funny. That one was hard. Justin, I think you were definitely the underdog because I think it's harder to argue publisher.
It's so hard.
It is so hard. And that's why I think you did a good enough job to sway me. So we're going to.
Wow.
We are going to. Wow.
Half a point.
Wow.
Quarter point. Yeah. By a quarter point, I was able to sway him.
Yes. Okay. So we are going to a Metacritic score. And so Cyberpunk 2077 Metacritic score.
As of now.
This is the PC version. As of right this second, what I'm looking at.
Right now.
Okay. Here, this is the reason. There's the caveat. I'm going with the PC version. When it released, the PC version was good. Okay, so that's why we're going by the PC.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. You got a number?
No.
No.
What is this? Is this 1 out of 10 or is like?
Right.
Brian. 1 out of 100.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Cicero's got a number. Justin.
Summoning the Hell Cow powers again with my hooves in the air. Sure.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Justin, your number.
82.
Cicero, your number.
Space Shuttle Disaster 86.
Cicero on the dot, 86.
Yeah.
He gets it. Oh, bravo,
That's what's up.
Cicero. Bravo.
Just know you could race the whole game and still end up winning somehow.
Yes.
Right.
Cicero with 3.5 points wins tonight's battle.
right.
We move on to the leaderboard. Video game protagonists that could win America's Got Talent. So shout out to a friend of the show, Brian, who's been on a couple episodes.
Yes.
He sent me a whole list of just crazy and fun ideas. So we're starting off with this.
Love the way your brain thinks, Brian.
Yes. Okay, video game protagonists that could win America's Got Talent. Justin, your way first. Give us your top 3.
Maybe I'll find someone else to help me. Maybe Black Mesa. That was a joke. Fat chance. GLaDOS from Portal.
Okay.
That was a lyric from the song Still Alive, by the way. True fans know. GLaDOS for sure. Sonic the Hedgehog. Easy. Speed.
Okay. I don't feel like spelling hedgehog, so I'm just going to type Sonic.
I'll just copy and paste this name because it's a weirder one. His name is Corvo Attanao, and he is from the Dishonored series. Oh, that's a control, and that's a control.
Actor, a man who can impersonate anyone he saw. I think you copy and paste the wrong thing, my friend.
That was my backup for the Iron Man villain. All right.
What is going on here?
Go ahead, Cicero.
Corvo Attanao.
He's the Dishonored character, the lead role from the first.
What is this? This is ridiculous. All right, Cicero, go ahead.
Oh man! I'm gonna have fun with this. So first up is Parappa the Rapper. You gotta believe.
Okay.
Not Prappa.
I'm glad we both have singers. I'm glad.
Wait, how do you spell it? Oh,
Parappa.
Parappa.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, Parappa the Rapper.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
But I think
he's a dog.
He's a rapper, not a rapper. But that's that's for us. I know I said I know what it sounds like.
I get a half a point.
Yes, and I am going to pick not a singer but a dancer. Ooh. And his name is Capoeira from Bust a Groove.
I don't know how to spell
that. I know who you're talking about. He has an afro, and he's awesome.
Yes.
I know who you're talking about. Capoeira. Good enough.
There you go.
Why did yours copy so nicely?
I don't know.
Oh, you actually copy and pasted.
Yeah.
Cool beans.
But that was a great phonetic spelling there.
Yeah, no problem. And your final option?
My final one is going to be hold on, I gotta find the name of the character. And it is what is the character's name? What's the character's name? Juliet from Lollipop Chainsaw.
Really?
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
What is her? Okay, we'll get to that.
Right.
When's that remake come out?
Okay.
Because I cannot wait.
It's probably a little ways away. Maybe next year. Okay. So for me, there's a game that recently just came out called Metal Hellsinger.
Oh.
And the main protagonist in there is the Unknown. And the reason why I think the Unknown could be good at America's Got Talent is he's shooting guns on beat. Like, it just sounds like a fun old time. Agent 47.
What would his talent be?
Yeah. Scanning things at the grocery store? Bzz, bzz.
Yeah, right.
I mean, sure. But the reason
For
I
anyone
thought about
listening,
this,
I
because
was
in the new
playing in my head with the
new
beat.
iterations of the game, he impersonates people, and like I think he could be like a good impersonator.
That's
on
what the
America's
actor
Got
was.
Talent.
I had the actor in there. That's what it
Yeah.
was.
And then Kirby, because Kirby just sucks you up and steals your talent. Kirby could win.
All right.
All right.
Well, my must-have is going to be. I think I got to go with Corvo. He's got the kind of like skills with the blades to vanish and reappear. He's got
Okay.
the rat control. He's got some skills that would definitely wow the audience. And Simon would be like
Corvo.
Houdini. Yeah.
Cicero, your must-have.
My must-have is Parappa the Rapper,
Roof.
because in the rain or in the snow, he's got a funky flow.
Okay.
All
Mine
right.
is The Unknown, just because I want an on-beat shooter. Okay. I mean, Kirby can just steal all of your talents, so
That's not what America's Got Talent's good for. You're not going up there and
Right.
taking everyone's talent, and then there's no show.
Right.
You know.
Right. Exactly.
that's-
then you automatically win.
But
Exactly.
GLaDOS, on the other
What-
hand, picture this.
The question is, what protagonist could win America's Got Talent?
Well, do you win or do you get disqualified because you murdered people?
Well, no.
Well,
we
the
don't
unknown's
remember
already
that.
up there, apparently.
You know that when Kirby does that, they just they just get recycled and then they come back.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So on to GLaDOS. You can picture a cake on a table in the middle of the show with one candle. Obviously, the cake is a lie, but there it is, and the backdrop with the different droids. And then a giant GLaDOS comes down from the ceiling and just sings "Stay Alive" or "Still Alive." Not "Stay Alive." That would be pretty disco. But
Right.
sings
Staying
it,
alive.
and I think it would get golden buzzard because it's just that immersion level of you being in the game at that point. A giant
So
AI.
meta.
It would be pretty
It's so
awesome to
meta.
see.
It's so meta.
The
So,
fans
I'm okay
are
with
definitely in the
GLaDOS.
crowd.
I'm okay with GLaDOS as well. I want to advocate for Capoeira because not only is he fighting, he's also dancing, and he's
Oh,
fighting while he's dancing.
Whoa, I'm down with
I
that.
want to hear your take on Juliet though. I want to know why you think how is she gonna win?
So Juliet's got a chainsaw
Yes.
and she's spinning around and she's doing all sorts of things. So
Yeah,
imagine,
it's like a freak show.
imagine being on the stage and she's got like watermelons.
Yeah,
and
put Juliet up
zombies
there
and-
more than
Right.
Bust a Move. The crazy stuff, the freak show.
Oh no, Capoeira is dope. Capoeira is dope because not only is he Capoeira, but he does Capoeira.
But he was also kung fu fighting.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Juliet's killing zombies. We can have stage performers come out to dance as zombies, and then she just starts mowing them down with the watermelons and stuff. That would be an
Right,
awesome
it's-
show. And it would add to the freak show
I'm going to
element.
throw my hat in for Capoeira.
Ah,
Majority
tore me to
rules.
pieces.
All right.
You threw every
Okay,
piece
that is
into
our
a fire.
list. Corvo Atano, Parappa the Rappa, The Unknown, GLaDOS, and Capoeira. That is our list of video game protagonists that could win America's Got Talent. Let us know down in the comments who you think could win America's Got Talent from a video game protagonist. Yeah, that's fun. Thank you, Brian, for that fun one. Hey, that is our episode. Thank you for listening to Test Your Might 90. Man, this was a fun time. Glad to be back here with my boys, with my friends. Hey, if you're listening to us on a podcatcher of choice, please leave us a review. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. As always, my name is Mike. That's Cicero. That's Justin. This has been Test Your Might, and we'll chat with you guys later. Bye.
See ya.
Hey.